today we are going to do our introduction to InfoSparks. Just an introduction as far as who I am. I am a broker, associate broker, and I've been an agent for just almost 43 years now, just coming up on 43. I have to do my continuing ed. I am the representative for SRAR to CRMLS board and to the CRMLS operations or tech committee. I'm a certified trainer. I'm a dog dad. If you hear snoring in the background, that's what our dog Oakley. She's become famous on some of the Zoom meetings, and major Dodger fan. So pretty happy with the way they're playing right now. So just to start with, we do have the Q&A open, and I encourage that, please, ask your questions as we go along. Let me open it on my side. Teresa, do we have Q&A or is it just chat? All right, so sorry, trying to find the Q&A here. All right, so what is InfoSparks? InfoSparks is a tool that uses MLS data to create presentations and visual presentations of what's happening in the marketplace that's easy to understand and easy to explain to your clients. InfoSparks is a member benefit for CRMLS. It's included. This is one of the programs where there isn't an upgrade, so it's not like some of them where you get the base for free and the rest of it you have to pay for. This is a fully free benefit for included in your MLS dues. So you're already paying for it, but you're paying in your MLS dues. So InfoSparks pulls its data once a month. It's usually in the first week of the month. We got like 4th of July coming up. Those kind of things will delay, but it's normally the first week of the month. And InfoSparks includes listing, pending, and sale data. InfoSparks, the way that it's different from some of the other programs is that it actually pulls the information directly from the back end of CRMLS. And it uses all of the data from all of the different member associations and member and data shares. So all of the data it's combining all of the data the same as we see it inside of CRMLS matrix. A lot of the other services that are out there that kind of present market statistics and market information that tends to use just strictly active listing data. Altos Research is one that is pretty popular. It's used a lot, and it's one that only uses active data. And when you see the difference, you'll see that the numbers are different for active listings versus the things that have actually gone into escrow and closed. One of the things that comes up a lot is how come I'm getting this number on this program and a different number on a different program? And that all comes down to where they're getting their data, whether it's directly from the back end of the MLS, whether it includes the entire database or just part of the database. as well as what filters they use to pull the data. So it all comes down to the more you use consistent, that your search and your criteria is consistent, the more consistent your information will be and your trends will be. I've been keeping stats, gosh, I don't know, since we had computers in MLS, and just running the same search the same way every week, every month gives us the ability to compare apples to apples. But if you compare something like Altos Research to InfoSparks, or some of the other programs out there, you will see that there's a difference in the data, or in what it's saying your median price is, what your days on market and all of that is. And that's because they're using different filters or different searches, and different data to get that info. So the great thing about InfoSparks is that you can share the information with your clients very simply and easily directly from the system. And there is a number of different areas inside of InfoSparks. The first one is called the Fast Stats, and that's where it gives monthly and yearly stats, that break it out and give some like quick reference pages. And I'll show you those towards the end. They're pretty good way to get a quick overview of the total market. You can print the reports inside of InfoSparks, so you can use them. You can print it. You can do around your open house. Here's what's going inside of 91326. Here's what the median sales price is. So you have something that's available inside your open house to be able to have conversations with the prospects that are coming in. We always use them in our listing presentations to be able to show sellers, whether it's a buyer's market, whether it's a seller's market, what are things selling for compared to what they're listing for? Do we have to add room in to negotiate? How long is it going to take to sell it? And do you need to be gone before the median days on market, or are you okay with being on the market a while? And then buyer consultations, the same thing. One of the things that's really nice is that it does allow you to export the data from InfoSparks. So you can take all of the different chart information, export it. I am not a great graphics person at all, but I was able to put a quick chart together using the information from InfoSparks, put it into Canva, and was able to do a little bit better presentation than I think InfoSparks has on its charts. But if you are graphically inclined, or if there's a graphics person in your company or that you use to help create your marketing, you can bring that data in and create custom reports. What's really cool about InfoSparks is you can share the information directly from the program to a number of different online programs, including Facebook. You can Instagram, it's Twitter, what do you call it? LinkedIn. It all can go directly to those systems. And then the online, when you share it online, this is what it looks like. This is, and I'll show you how to do that quickly and easily. Some ideas as far as, there's more that you can do than just like put it into a social media post. Putting it into a post or into a blog is, putting on social media posts is definitely something that you want to do. And we're always looking for things for content, right? We're always looking for what can we put out there? What's our post for the day? And InfoSparks gives you a number of different opportunities to do that. But in my prior website, I had InfoSparks charts linked directly into my website so that I could direct my prospects, my buyers, my sellers to my website and say, if you want to see what's happening, what the median price is in Valencia or Sherman Oaks or whatever, that it would actually live within my website. You can put it into a blog. So if you're a blogger and have that ability, or if you have someone that manages your website, you can create the widget to be able to put it into your blog. A lot of agents are putting it directly into their email newsletter or their farm newsletter for their clients or for their farm area. You can create, if you're using like MailChimp and that kind of stuff, you can actually embed it directly into your newsletter. And then I've seen agents and helped agents put a link in their email signature. You can copy the link and put it into an email signature to say, you know, what's the, see what the current median sales price is for Valencia, and add that to your signature line, and that goes directly to a live link or a live chart for InfoSparks. There's a number of different things that InfoSparks will analyze for you, and we'll go through those. Days on market, it'll do month supply, median and average sales prices. So we'll show you all of that. And then I had somebody ask me before, well, what's the point of sharing this information? And something I learned a long time ago from one of my coaches is that when you tell them, it's an opinion, but when you show them, it's a fact. So the more that we can put visually in front of them to back up, hey, this is why it's important to understand that listing inventory is going up, you're getting more competition. So the strategy that we pick for pricing is probably needs to be a little bit different than if there was no other competition on the market. So being able to show them that, if I tell them, hey, there's a lot of competition, that's my opinion. If I show them we're getting more competition every month, we need to be sold, we need to choose the right pricing strategy. All right, so let's check it out. So how do you get to InfoSparks? So the first way you get there is on your RE Core dashboard. You've got the tiles here for the different programs. If InfoSparks does not show up here, you can click on the plus under Manage Apps, and anytime you put a star next to one of the different programs or systems we have available, it will add it to your, or add it or remove it if it's something that you don't use to your dashboard. Inside of Matrix, there's two ways to get to InfoSparks. I didn't go through and read my notices there. All right, so there's a couple ways. The first way is we have this section on the Matrix homepage for external links. And if you look down here, it shows InfoSparks market statistics. That's way number 2 to get to InfoSparks program. And the third is to go under the links. There's a lot of cool things under links. You can actually go in and when I'm bored, I'll go in and or if I'm on hold for a while, I'll go in and search Hawaii MLS just for fun. But if we go down here to MLS Solutions, we have the InfoSparks tile here. So once we open up InfoSparks, like any other program that we use, the first thing we have to do is jump in and update our profile. So the first thing we do is we're going to choose our picture from our computer. There we go. And then we come down here and it's going to automatically load the information that's in your MLS profile. Mine is blank because I'm using a training account. So it's just not, it's blank. But if there's an email here that you want to use something different, or if you want to put in your website that's something different, you can uncheck the automatic and put in the information. So you can change all of this up. The main one you want to use is phone number 2 because that's going to be your cell phone number. I put the dashes in that. If you have a fax, you can add your tagline, you can add your group name, your title, and it will automatically have your office information from your MLS profile. So there we go. We just go ahead and click save. It didn't like my picture. Did this to me before. It's not a great picture, so there we go. It's just not liking it because of the Zoom takes up a lot of the space on my computer. All right, so the first thing, so once we do our profile, then we can jump into the InfoSparks. And the InfoSparks has a couple different sections to it. Starting out, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to choose what area or what you want to search for. So the choices that you have here is that you have all of the entire MLS. You can search by association, city, MLS area, agents, firms, and offices, and school district aren't really ones that are searchable or valuable for us. This is a program that's used throughout the country, but you know that the ones that are important to us are city, county, and zip code, and then my areas. So we can start out by choosing a city, or we can type in here Sherman Oaks and choose the city of Sherman Oaks, and it gives us our it chooses our location that we want to search by. The other opportunity that you have to search is that you can search by what's called my areas. So you can actually save a map search, and it will search for that specific map search for your InfoSparks information. And the way that we do the map search is we're going to come into the area here called My Areas. And if you want to, this start out by defining a couple or saving a couple map searches, saving a couple areas. I've got a few here that I've put together. The nice thing about the map search is that you can make it as large or as small as you want to. So the way that you create your map search is you're going to go here to the location. So I'm going to zoom in here. I always use the satellite view because it lets me know the difference in the roof types. So it gives us the ability to pick one neighborhood at a time. So like, here we go. So this complex here, I want to do a search for this complex here. So I get my map into that area, and then just like I do in Matrix, I'm going to click on my polygon and then draw up like I do exactly the same as I do a map search in Matrix. So with that, I can move it around if I'm too close or too far. I can make those adjustments the same as I can do in Matrix. So I get my map right. Once I do that, I can hit save here and I can name my save search. So here I'm going to do June class and save it. The first time I can go in here and hit the stats, or I can go ahead and close this and it now shows up under my saved searches or my saved map searches. So I have one here for the Santa Fe condos in Valencia. I did Valencia Racket Club. So you can get from a big area to, if I did all of Stevenson Ranch. So you can do a big area down to a very specific neighborhood or community. So once I do my map search, then I can come back to my InfoSparks. And then instead of putting in a city, I can go over here to my area and I can do June class. And it will run the search for that neighborhood, for that map search, and give us all that information. So that's how you can do your map searches. Maps, I use probably the map search as much as I do a city search. For the purposes of the class, I'm going to go ahead and do a city search so we have more data. So we were doing some investigation on something in Sherman Oaks yesterday. So we're going to pick on Sherman Oaks today. So we put in our area. The first choice that we have is our area. The second filter that we have is the different property types. So we have all of the property types that are available in the MLS. The only ones that are actually useful because they have data in the MLS is going to be residential, residential income, land, and manufactured in part. Lease, commercial, and business opportunities, those properties are not put into the MLS on a regular basis. There's more done outside of the MLS than inside. So the ones that this will actually give you valid information for is going to be residential income, which is 1 to 4 units or above. Apartment buildings, things like that may be in there. Your land, and the land, actually, we've used that a lot to help understand what's going on for a land listing, and then manufactured in part for the manufactured homes. So we choose our property type, then we can choose our property subtype, right? So we have a single family, condominium, townhouse, manufactured mobile. That, you know, if we have residential and manufactured mobile, that would be like a manufactured home on land. If we have a duplex, a triplex, studio, cabin is kind of cool. But you have all the different property types. If I'm going to do a condominium, if I'm trying to do condominiums, I'm going to do both condominiums and townhomes or townhouses most of the time, but you can do one at a time by clicking on the plus sign, clicking the minus sign, and it will take it out of your search. To keep it simple, we're just going to do single family. The other filters we have are attached and detached. The transaction sides, this is something that, you know, for this, for running the information on a neighborhood, on an area, it really has nothing to do with this. So, you know, I wouldn't even worry about that. You can filter by number of bedrooms. And this is nice because if you're dealing with something on the upper end or the lower end, right? If I have like 1 or 2 bedroom, if I have something like that's a 2 bedroom, single family, I don't want to look at, and it really doesn't matter what 4 bedroom or 5 bedroom homes that have, large square footage, that isn't really affecting my price or my market for the smaller end. The same is true if it's a larger home and I just want things that are 4 bedrooms or more. 1 bedroom houses, 2 bedroom houses, in an area may not be relevant. So you can filter by the number of bedrooms. Click it on. If you click it by accident, you hit the minus sign, it will take it off. Number of bathrooms, never important until it's important. Again, if you're looking at how do 3-bedroom 1 baths do compared to 3-bedroom 2 baths, you can filter by bathrooms. Most of the time I'm looking more as a general status of the market, but sometimes we're diving deep to get a real good picture on what's happening within a certain type of property. Price ranges. So you can filter just by price ranges. And the nice thing about the price ranges is that you can actually designate your price ranges. If you have a property that that your estimated value is going to be 900,000 to 1,600,000, 0 to 688 really isn't going to have a lot of effect on that house, right? So I can come in here and I can type custom, and in fact we did this. We went to 1,699,000 for a property that we were working with. But you can customize those price ranges. And if you want to do like 0 to 400, 401 to 500 or 550, depending on your price ranges, you can go ahead and do that. What advantage that gives you is that when you have your custom price ranges, you can click on this split out arrow and it will actually run side by side all of the different information based on those price ranges. So when you're trying to do something that is based on a certain type or price range of a property, it's a good thing to have. Most of the time, like I said, most of what I'm sharing with in my emails and in my online is the general information by city or by area. We can filter by square footage. Again, high end, low end makes a difference. Lot size, some of the areas you have like, acreage property next to, a subdivision with 5,000 square foot lots, and you're trying to comp out the acreage property. So I might want to use the lot size as the filter. Again, I can customize this and choose those filter points. Has a pool, and then the last filter is the sale type. So far, knock on wood, not a lot of foreclosures, a few more short sales this year than we had last year, but you can go ahead and filter by those types if you're trying to run statistics on those types of properties. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to choose our area, whether we use a mapped area that we created or we use a city, zip code, county. We can do it by county, or MLS area. MLS area isn't as reliable because with the data shares, not all of the properties that are designated within an MLS area are correctly mapped. They don't have the right information under area. So 99% of what I do and what I help agents with is going to be city, zip code, county, or my custom area. But here we went ahead with Sherman Oaks. Then we chose what type of properties, property type, property subtype. If we wanted to use any of the other filters, we can use those. And once we create our filters, then we can start looking at what's happening in the marketplace. And the options that we have are, first one here is how many new listings came on the market, single family homes in Sherman Oaks. How many came on the market each month? So in May, which is our last month, right? There were 75 new homes that came on the market in Sherman Oaks. So that came down a little bit. Our high point over the last 5 years was 114 for new listings in 2025. But we're not, I guess December was slow, but it's picked up. The number of new listings lets us know, how much competition is coming in that we are going to have to, that we're competing with for the same buyers. How many active listings, total active listings on the market month by month. So here we can see that our low point was December, but we've steadily added listings on the market every month. So we're at 184, and it shows that the 184 is actually 9.4% less than May of 2025. So let's find May. May was 203 versus 184. So there's actually less on the market than there was last year. So this is the total and your percentage of difference from the same month last year. It charts out pending sales, how many properties actually went into escrow. So here we can see that Mr. and Mrs. Seller, active listings are going up, pendings are going down, which means that more competition and less buyers are putting their pen to paper or their e-signature to mouse to e-signature. So we've actually come down quite a bit. It's down 46% over last year. So May slowed down, quite a bit. Our high point was March, but we're down, 20 something, 21 pending sales per month less. So that lets us know the market's slowing down, right? That we'll see here that overall that it's telling us that the market is slowing or has slowed. The number of closed sales per month. So this lets us know. So we had a couple of good months in March and April, right, for listings and pendings. Pendings were up in March. When we go to close sales, that means that May closings, right, they went into escrow sometime in March. They closed the end of April, closed in May. So those pending sales led to a higher number of closed sales in May of 2026. In fact, it's 17% more than last year. The total closed sides is not a valid statistic here. It's basically taking for each closed sale, so we have 41, there was a listing side and a buyer side. So this says that there was 82. So this one's kind of like doesn't really apply to our market stat. Closed lets you know, what's the total dollar amount for the homes that closed per month. So it was 196,158,000. So, a lot of money changed hands in May. It's up 35.2% over last year. So that's kind of interesting. The closed dollar amount is going to change based on the average price or the price of the properties that are actually selling. Days active in the MLS. So this is one that that is super important because it's funny that everybody there's a whole thing in the industry right now that days on market is a number that can be a good thing or can be a bad thing, right? That if it's a higher days on market, then the property is having an issue type thing, right? But what is the actual days on market been for the properties in the marketplace? So in Sherman Oaks, the median days on market for properties that closed was at 27, which is up 35% over last year. So that tells us that that it slowed down by 35% over what happened last year. So in some of these data points, we have a median and we have an average, right? So there are average, the total of all the sales divided by the total days on market is 32. So we're somewhere between 27. The average is 32 days on market. So that lets us know, and this is something that we've used with our sellers to let them know, depending on the strategy that we use for pricing of your home and putting your home to market, that on average, it's going to take 32 days to get an offer on your property. If we need that time frame to be less because you need to be somewhere else or you have a house that you want to make an offer on, things like that, then we have to be above average when it comes to our price strategy and positioning. But this is important to show buyers also to say, hey, that property's been on the market for 35 days. In reality, the average is 32. So we're really not outside of the norm that, the seller is going to give a 30% discount on the price because it's been on the market and they're desperate now, right? We're just getting into the selling time frame at 32 days. So that's your days active in the MLS. Last year, CRMLS changed the naming of the field from days on market to days active in the MLS. And they did that to create a more true picture of what's happening for that property. When a property's on coming soon, when a property's on hold, when a property's in pending, days on market, days active in the MLS, right? Those aren't active statuses. That the days active in the MLS doesn't calculate, it doesn't add. So this is how many days was it truly active and available for showings to buyers before a buyer's went ahead and wrote an offer and bought the property. So that's why it says days active in the MLS now versus days on market. All right, our next one we have is month supply. And this has been one that back when I was skinny and I had dark hair, we always talked about that, when it's a buyer's market or a seller's market based on the number of months supply. SRAR stats, CAR stats, NAR stats, all of the different different economists are quoting out there and publishing what's the month's supply of inventory. And the month's supply of inventory is the total number of homes on the market that, if no other homes came on the market, based on how many properties were going into escrow, how long would it take if no other homes came on the market to sell all the homes that are available today? So that's your month's supply. It used to be that a 6 months supply of homes was considered to be a balanced market. And all of the economists that I follow and the CAR economists and that have Oscar and can't remember the other guy's name. They are telling us that a 4-month supply is in the dynamics of the market that we've had with limited inventory, and that is considered more of a balanced market. So we are at 5.2 months supply. So based on that, that's telling us that if no other home comes on the market, it's taking an average of 5.2 months to get a home sold, or it's that it would take 5.2 months to get all of the properties that are currently on the market sold. And as we saw under new listings and active listings, that the number of listings are going up every month. So this tells us that we're leaning towards a buyer's market, right? It's a little bit towards a buyer's market, meaning that buyers have more competition, or they have more options. Sellers have more competition, so they have to be better price, better condition, better features and benefits in order to compete with all of the other inventory out there. So the month supply, I mean, this, like, I almost have flashbacks. August of 21, 1.7 month supply, right? Things were selling in an hour and a half. We're not in that market anymore. We're at a 5.2. Price per square foot is an interesting data point. Price per square foot doesn't really set. I've never had an appraiser, never had a bank, never had anybody that other than an insurance company use a price per square foot calculation to truly give a value to a home, because the 3 most important things in real estate are location, 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 right? So you can have two houses of the same model, same floor plan. One's original, one's completely redone. One's on a cul-de-sac lot, one's on a T lot backing a main street. Price per square foot for both of those homes is going to be different because of the features and benefits of each one of those homes. So, oh, we have a couple of questions in here. Sorry about that. So price per square foot is interesting. I use it as a gauge when it's a property that's a little bit like not your typical subdivision lot where every 4th home is the same. But it kind of gives you an idea if we're looking at kind of the price range that we're considering, what it seems like what we're talking about tends to be at about the price that we're looking at. We're ending up at about $875 a square foot. Then when I come back in here and I look at this and I say, well, based on the competition within the area, if the competition is a median at 797 and 820, that just gives me a gauge to say that, it's possible that we might be on the high side and that we're going to have some, specific advantages to the other properties. It doesn't give me an actual price for a property, but it does kind of give me am I in the right ballpark, right? Type thing. The next ones are ones that I use a lot and that my team in the past we used to use a lot. So here we have the percentage of last list price. So from the point that they started the and they did whatever price reductions, the last price that it was listed for before they received an offer, what's the difference of the closing price to that last price? So here we have a median and an average. The properties that closed in May closed at 98.5% of the listing price. So they, reduced it about, about 2%, right? So, and that is about 0.5% more than the difference was a year ago. The average was 100%. So what that tells us is that when a seller prices the property, properly in the market, that they're not having major hits to the asking price. In May of 22, we had 107%, but we went down to 95%. So sellers were taking about a 5% discount in December of 23. About a 4% discount here. So they're selling close to the asking price. So this is great for buyers to be able to show them that if we price it correctly, if the sellers price it correctly, then we're not seeing major discounts that are being given on that price. So, coming in with a 20% under asking price may not be the best strategy for getting your offer accepted over, any other potential offers that may be there. And the reason is that on average, sellers are getting 100% of what they're asking for, which means that some are getting more and some are getting a little bit less. Your median, where half of them are over, half of them are under, is at 98. So that's your percentage of last price. But the next one is the percent of the original price. And this is the, how do I combat? We can price it high, we can always come down, right? So when a seller does a price reduction, and, from the time that their original price to now, they're getting 98% of the 98% of that asking price. But the average was 100, it's now 98. So they're really losing 2% of the purchasing or the purchase price by pricing it high and coming down. If they had it at the right price in the beginning, they probably would have got 100%. Now they're getting 98. So that's your original versus your last price. This is one that we publish a lot, which is the median or average sales price based on our marketplace that we put into our filters, single family in Sherman Oaks. The median sales price is $1,915,000, and then we have the average sales price at $2,392,000. So the average is taking all of the properties that sold, adding up all of the sales prices and divided it by the number of sales, right? The median is half of the homes sold above this price, half of them sold below this price. The majority of the publications for market statistics always show the median sales price. So that's what our customer is used to seeing. They are is the median sales price. So whenever I'm publishing, I'm generally publishing the median sales price out in the marketplace. The last two that we have really don't pertain to our marketplace. The first one is shows to contact and shows per listing. And the reason why these are not valid is because it's only counting the number of showings that were booked inside of the showing time platform. And there are a lot of agents who don't use showing time to manage their listings, to manage their showings. I am a huge fan of using a showing service like showing time to manage my showings. There's probably 50 reasons that we should be using it, but in reality, the majority of agents don't use it. So based on that, then I wouldn't even worry about these last two options. So new listings, active listings, pending, closed. Total closed sides, again, doesn't matter the volume. The ones that I use the most are going to be new, active, pending, close, days active in the MLS, month supply, and then our percentage of the sales price. So let's take our median sales price for Sherman Oaks. Our median sales price in Sherman Oaks for single family residences. And now that we see, okay, this is what's happened, what do we do with that? There's a few things that you can do. The first is that we have the option to do a line, which will go back further, or we can use a bar graph. A bar graph inside of InfoSparks only does the last 3 years. So we can do like active listings. It's going to do the month of May for the last 3 years. So depending on who you're presenting to, this can be a very effective tool because it's super simple, right? So the line chart, we can actually, then the next thing is the time frame for our chart. And we can go a year, we can go 3 years, 5 years, which is what I will do 99% of the time. The 5 years gives, I look at the marketplace as pre-COVID and post-COVID. The market is completely different since 2020, 2021. So I can go back further. And what's cool is that we have data going back all the way to 2008. So if you have your engineer, your accountant, your person who is very analytical, and they want to know the data of what's really happened in the marketplace, you do have the ability to go back on any of these and go back all the way to 2008. So 2008, there were 159 new listings. There was 524 listings on the market in 2008. And we remember those days. And now we're at 184. It's kind of cool to look at the sales price going back to 2008, because there's that saying that every low is followed by the next high, the next low is always the last high. Um, and we can see how much we've gained even since 2020, 2021. 2021, 1,000,008. We're now at 1,915,000. Our high point was 2,150,000 median sales price. So you can choose your year, 3 years, 5 years, or max, depending on the customer that you're presenting the information to. Just did a Zoom with the seller, kind of going over the comparables and the market. She is an ex-dancer or an ex-performer, very, very artistic. We use the 3-year stats. We in some of them we use the bar chart just to keep it very simple, because the numbers and that kind of stuff wasn't for her. Have another one that another listing I'm working with right now that we're getting ready. They're total numbers people. So when we went through this, we went with the maximum all the way back to 2008. And so understanding the personality type of the person that you're presenting to makes a huge difference. And then you can do it with data for the last 12 months, the last 6 months, 6 months at a time. I just always use the monthly. That's the only one that makes sense to me. But you can look at that and check it out, see what makes sense based on the person that you're trying to help understand the marketplace. So from here, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do the line chart. I'm going to do 5 years, because that's my standard reports that I'm sharing with my clients. So now that we have our area, our filters, and we've chosen the median sales price for the last 5 years, the way that we can share this is we can click on the print button, and it will open up a printable graph that you can share with your, put in your open house, put in your listing packet, put in your buyer packet, put in, do it by the neighborhood, right? If you're farming a neighborhood, I would have this type of information inside of your newsletter, right? That here's what's going on with the pricing. All of this is the information that came in. It didn't take my picture. It doesn't like to add it when I'm on Zoom for some reason. But normally your picture would be here. The office number is our phone number 1. If you leave it blank and just do phone 2, which is the one I did with the dashes, that'll show up as your cell phone number, and then your email and website and that. But here's your printed report that you can just print and share and go from there. And you get to that by you can click on the print, but I've gotten in the habit of always just going to share, because share gives me the ability to create the PDF. And if I view it, it gives me that report. But I can start over, and I can say that I actually want to share this on social media. I want to get a link that I can share on social media, in email, or whatever. So it brings up this link that I can copy. And I can put that link into just about anything, right? And it, using that link, it will bring up this report. This report has a little bit more to it. It gives a little more options that that the user can use. It actually gives the ability to see the data points. It gives me the ability to share it to Facebook. I can share it to any of these different systems directly. I haven't tried Evernote yet. I use Evernote. It's a great program, but I can put it in a message, or I can just copy this link and put it into just about anything that I'm sharing. If I want to share online, I can click this and it will actually open up my Facebook that's attached to that I'm logged into at the time. And it will create the post in the chart. And if I click on the chart, it will actually open this back up. So I can share it. That will end up when they click on the chart, it will actually open up in this format. Obviously, you want to give your opinion as far as what your take is on the market, and ask a question, right? Create that engagement. The median sales price in May of 2026 was $1,915,000. Up, whatever. So you want to create that engagement, and then you can go ahead and post it. But you can post directly to your social media, to Twitter. Or you can go into your social media site and just paste this link into that, and it will give you it will link out to that chart. I'm going to start over. So there's two things that you want to know as far as sharing. You can share a static and you can share a live. And there's advantages to both. The static I'm using on things where I'm going to post information more than once. Like in my newsletter, I post the static one that says, as of May, here's what's going on in Sherman Oaks. Here's what the median sales price is for Sherman Oaks as of May of 2026. In June, when once the June numbers are published in July, beginning of July, and I'm sending out my July newsletter, I'm going to use that static one to say, hey, here's what's new in July. The values have gone up, the median sales price has gone up or gone down or whatever, so that it gives me the ability to continue to update that information and create a new engagement. When I post it online, or when I put it in an email signature or on a blog, then I'm probably going to use the live, because every month that the data is added or updated, if somebody goes back into that link a month from now, it will give them June's numbers. So the live is used more, in my opinion, for things that are going to have long-term engagement, blog posts, email signatures, website links, things like that. If you have it in a link tree or in that kind of stuff, I would probably use live more than the static, because if somebody goes to your blog post, goes to your website, at any point, it will always update. You don't have to continually, every month go in and create it over and over and over again. The next thing you can do is I can publish it on social media, or I can embed it. And what embedding does is this creates the HTML language that you would put into a blog post or into a like a MailChimp newsletter into one of the widgets in the different systems. If you don't know how to do that, but you have somebody in the office or somebody who helps with your marketing, they would probably know how to do that. You can create, just do medium. If I hit share, it's going to give me HTML code that I'm going to add into that widget. That's going to pull up the chart, this chart, when somebody clicks on my website, when it clicks on my newsletter, or when it on my MailChimp newsletter, or when I click on a blog post. So the embedding creates that little block in that widget inside of your online presentation. And then CSV, this is where it will actually download the raw data. That you can use to bring into another program that does analytics, that creates, like I put this into a Canva chart and was able to create that chart with a little bit nicer presentation than what this kind of line does. We've asked them to do better on this, but we haven't had any traction on that yet. So the CSV gives you the ability to grab the raw data so you can put it into another program to either analyze and or create different types of infographics or things like that for it. I'm guessing you could probably put that into one of the AI systems and say create a market chart for the median sales price, and it would probably do that for you. I'll have to try that. Don't know why I haven't done that yet. All right, so now if we just kind of recap, we're going to start either with my area and create our map search, right? And we can run the stats from here, or we can pull that through the my areas as our first filter. Or I can either do my area or I can do city, county, zip code. Is your most effective ways of doing it. I choose my filters, property type, sub-property type. If any of these other ones become important based on what I'm trying to analyze, and then I can go through, and each one of these charts is going to be something that is shared separately, that prints separately. So it will create a different chart for each one of each one of these different analytics. It doesn't combine them, so you pick and choose the ones that are going to be most applicable to the situation that you're working with here. So for these condos there in Stevenson Ranch, there's more now than there was. Obviously the number of listings is going up. Number of pendings has gone down dramatically. No pendings. Closed sales is no closed sales in the last month. So we have to be really, really specific as far as our marketing strategy and our pricing strategy based on a lot of competition, nobody making offers. So let's go through here and see. I'm not sure about the recording, how they're handling that. Um, oh, okay, they're putting that. Had a problem before. I can't upload a picture into my profile. Okay. I will see what I can find out, Dan, and let you know about the profile picture. It does it half the time for me, and half the time it doesn't. Would InfoSparks be better than using showing time show activity in a specific location? Yes. The showing activity in showing time only gives you the information for people who actually used showing time in that for those showings. So the InfoSparks uses all of the different data from all of our MLS and data shares and puts it all together for you. Um, Is there a difference between median and average days active in the MLS? The median and average, a median for any of these data points is that half of the transactions were above it and half of them were below it. So when we days active in the MLS, median means, let's go back to Sherman Oaks. So we have more data. So median means that half of the properties that closed for 27, above 27 days on market, half of them closed with less than 27 days on market. Average means when you totaled them all up and then you divided it by the number of transactions that closed, it created an average of 36 days on market. There we go. Okay, and all right. So any other questions on what's available to you inside of this part of InfoSparks? All right, I want to show you two other things, and then we'll give you back the rest of your day. So the next thing is called Fast Stats, and there's 3 sections to Fast Stats, and this is something that I want you to go back in and check out for yourself. The first is local market updates, and here's where it gives you monthly information by county, and it has a ton of different counties, including counties that that we may not actually like be working in all the time. So I can actually get the April report for Orange County because I have a friend or a client who is interested in doing something in Orange County. And then it gives us this particular local market update gives us a monthly, month to month and year to date breakdown of the numbers for single family and condos and townhomes. So you can go in here, LA County, how many new listings, pendings, days on market for the county. This is only based on county. But one of the things that I like InfoSparks for is because we're always looking for things to post, right? Information to provide to our database, our sphere, to the public, right? So having this information to say that in LA County, CRMLS shows that the number of new listings was down 4.5%. The number of pending sales was actually down 15%. But the median sales price was up 2.3%. So, you can actually create a script around here's what these dynamics are in the marketplace. And again, you can share this. This is something great to have in your buyer packet, to have to send out to a buyer that you're working with, to provide into your newsletters, things like that. The second is called monthly indicators. And this is where it pulls information for transactions done by members of a specific association. So here we can do Southland Regional, and this gives us a little more detailed breakdown of all of the different data points within that transactions that were done by Southland members. I'm not sure how this is breaking out here. This says Southern California. Or the state of California. And it gives you like a narrative here that you can use as almost like a script or as a blog post directly to say, here's what's happening in California in April. It's weird that they don't have June out yet. And then you have the annual reports. So this is done once a year at the end of the year, right? We have the statewide. We're in the mid-southern, and this gives you LA County and the surrounding counties. And it gives you a bunch of different data points and information. There's a lot to these. So my recommendation is take a few minutes, go to Fast Stats, pull up the report, see what's going on, see how it works and how you can share that with your prospects, your clients, in your sphere. I don't use everything every time. It depends on the situation that I'm dealing with that client, the information that I want to present for that marketplace. So it's important to know what's available, right? So having that data sheet for the MLS lets us know that here's all of the different things that we can search by inside of the MLS. Knowing what's there gives me the ability to decide when I want to use that specific info. The last thing is there is the InfoSparks help here. And in the InfoSparks help, it goes through all of the different sections that we went through. The charting, the fast facts, the different metrics. So you can always come into the user manual and FAQ and to look up how did I do that. Remember that this is a product that is offered as a member benefit from CRMLS. So you always have the ability to call or chat with support and ask them a question regarding InfoSparks. If there's something specific you're trying to do and having a hard time, if you email education@SRAR and say, hey, I was on the InfoSparks class, I'm trying to do something, I'm not sure, it's not working, can Michael help me with this? We'll try and set a time to do a Zoom and try and get that figured out for you. All right, so that is my introduction to InfoSparks. Can you repeat why you don't use price per square foot? So the reason I don't use price per square foot when I'm looking at pricing is because it's not a valid indicator of actual value. It's just a generic number for all of the properties that have sold, regardless of whether or not it was almost a tear down or whether it was a complete new build or completely renovated and updated. It doesn't factor in any of the dynamics of the property characteristics, location, upgrades, whatever. It doesn't factor anything in other than flat out across the board. This is whether it was, uninhabitable or, solid gold fixtures all the way through. It doesn't just differentiate between either one of those home properties. That helps out set the value. It almost would be equal to using an online market value from a website and say this is what it's going to sell for. We all know that it doesn't actually generally sell for that, and it's just an indicator based on an overall market. And it could be taking a one-bedroom condo in Sherman Oaks with a lot as into the consideration of a 5,000 square foot brand new, totally redone house with a pool and a view and everything else. So that's kind of the why, my opinion, and why I've kind of learned not to use the price per square foot, other than, are we completely out of the marketplace? If everything in the marketplace that's selling is at 700, and we're kind of an average type home, and the seller is wanting to price it at $900 a square foot, that's going to be a real challenge, because it tells me that I need to dig deeper into the value for that property. I need to really hone in on the specifics of features and benefits of each one of the comparables and every house that we're competing against. Right now, we're really in a market that's called a competitive market analysis versus a comparative, right? A comparative is we're looking 6 months ago, what happened? Right now, it's important to look at what's on the market, what are we competing with, what's the next home that comes on the market and the next home that goes into escrow, and how is that affecting our sales price and the price that we can get and an appraisal that we can get in the future. Obviously, if something's in escrow now, and it closes on or before you get an offer or your appraisal is done, then that affects the future market, when something that sold in June of last year really doesn't matter. So this helps us look ahead by understanding, what the trend in the market is as of today. We can see what happened, but we can also see where are we today with all of these different metrics. All right. Any other questions? Any other comments? Is there something specific you want to look at? All right. Glad you're excited to try it out. And all right. Well, with that, I will say have a wonderful Wednesday. Thanks for being here. And again, if you have any questions, if you need any help, you have the support at CRMLS Tech Support. If it's something specific you're trying to do and you're just not getting the numbers that make sense, email education at SRAR, and they will forward that email to me. All right, so I thank you and have a wonderful rest of the day.